All right, guys. So today's video, we have a trader educator who's bouncing around 700,000 to $1 million a year in sale, $1.2 million maybe some years. And we wanted to put him on the hot seat with Bret Holmes, since Bret has worked with a ton of companies, going back from helping build Money Map Press up from 0 to 100, or a few million to a $200+ million business, and then helping a lot of smaller groups since then have pretty explosive growth. And so I asked Bret, as part of the FMS Pro series, that we have of content, to sit down with one of our members who has about $1 million trading business, and kind of do a hot seat and go in there and say, how can you actually grow this business? And that's what this video is. So it is one of our kind of part of the paid community content that we do. It's part of the Discord server and everything else. But I wanted to show everybody what kind of things we're doing here on that side. And so I'm putting this out here. I think it's really also important for a lot of the smaller publishers out there and trader educators to hear this stuff, because it's what's going to make you give you some paths to grow your business. We do also in FMS Pro, we have a monthly marketing call where we get everybody together. We got some of the smartest people in the industry and some of the top marketers in the industry on there, and we'll dive into a topic. Last month we did SMS, and we do things like that. So we also have some other special things with lawyers and the investor relations side of the business, and a bunch of other things that we do kind of to help grow the community. So if you haven't checked out FMS Pro, you should check it out. I'll put the link below here. But for today, this is about how to look at a publishing business, a small publishing business, and start to find the holes in how to grow it. And so we're really thankful that Dan was willing to kind of expose himself to everybody. It's really kind of a hard thing for an entrepreneur to do, and so it was really brave of him to do it, and so we really appreciate it. I think this is a super valuable business video for all of you who are kind of sub 2 million. This is one of the kind of things that I've seen in this industry is that, running FMS for a decade and working in the industry for about 20 years, there's a lot of people who get stuck at this range, right? To get enough going that you have about $1 million business, and it goes up in the good years and it goes down in the rough years. And you're kind of stuck bouncing in there, and then figuring out how to get past that is one of the first major obstacles to entrepreneurs in this space. And also for all you guys who are marketing consultants and stuff like that, like we're copywriters, like this is the kind of stuff that like helps your clients get better. So check it out. Bret was awesome, helped them a ton. Dan was great again. Thanks for sharing all this stuff. And if you haven't joined FMS Pro or checked it out, check out the link below. All right, thanks, bye. And for anyone who doesn't know Bret, I should say Dan has a great business called Market Taker. How long have you been a trader educator?
I've had Market Taker, I want to say 16 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you've seen a thing or two.
Yeah.
And Bret Holmes is, I think everybody in the FMS Pro community knows you. Most people in the FMS world know you. But why don't you give your quick background too for any new folks who might not be familiar with you?
Okay. I'm going on 17 years. 17 years in this industry. Before that, I was an internet kid. At 18, I started with ad.com and got lucky when I was young being able to do HTML and PHP when I was 18, which afforded me a lot of opportunities to work in this world. And then I was an engineer for a little bit as a cold fusion engineer. That used to be a programming language that idiots could do. So that's what I did. And then I found out really quick that the only thing that I did better than guys that were a lot cheaper was speak English better than they did. So I found myself commenting on code for Northrop Grumman and the Navy. And it was nice being a part of a large organization. But then I found Agora, which was right up the street from me. I was working downtown Baltimore, and then a friend of mine was at Agora. And from there, Agora was just starting to get started with being serious about online advertising and websites and things. And it was a very, very, again, I'd say 80% of my success has been being in the right place at the right time. And from Agora, just growing a company from 0 to 250 million a year, 200 million a year, seeing that growth over 15 years. And then from Agora, just went and worked with, I've been doing this kind of thing for probably about 5 years, which I find, trust me, I love working for one company. It gets a little mundane given your skill set sometimes. It's a lot more exciting for me to work with a bunch of people, especially at different levels. Some people are going from 0 to the first 100K. Some people are trying to go from 500K to 2 million. Some people are trying to go from 2 million to 5. All of them have their different issues, different problems. But luckily I've seen just about all of them. So I've been doing this for a long time. And from full disclosure, I've never met Dan, and I can't believe I haven't. Not in this regard anyway. So everything you're going to see here today is not. Nope. I gave him some questions on stuff so that way we can move a little quicker. But I haven't really dug into anything, and I wouldn't say I don't know where this is going to go, but it could go in a lot of different ways. So I'm excited to see what kind of business he has, and also for you guys that are watching, to kind of see what that process looks like. I go through this process with somebody, at least somebody, whether it's for free or whether they pay me, and I'm happy to do it. And I love John, and I love FMS, and I love all you guys. I do it about once a month, if not every day for some people. So it's fun. So let's see where we are.
All right. So the idea then is I know you sent Dan over a bunch of questions earlier to kind of get a feel for some things. Where do you want to start with?
Sure. So
should Dan give him a little bit of introduction of his business so that everyone's kind of clear what we're doing?
Talk about how long it's been along, anything you know from a core standpoint. A lot of times in these hot seats, some people have a very specific problem, like they don't know how to figure out something specifically. I find that can be, but there are a lot of bones that have to be put in place before that skeleton's able to walk. So let's let Dan introduce the company and where they are and where he wants to be, and let's see if we can get him there.
Yeah. First of all, I just want to say I'm here because I'm an overachiever. I've been told that you should try to be the brokest, dumbest person in the room. And I think I'm really overachieving today. Here with a couple of really, really great guys. So I've been doing this for 16 years. And before starting Market Taker, I was a market maker trading on the floor. And then I started teaching classes at the CBOE. So I learned how to teach options. And I thought, well, I understand how they work. I understand how to teach them. I'm going to start my own education business. And if you've ever read a book called The E-Myth, you understand part of the fallacy in that logic. I was missing the understanding how to run a business, how to market, and I was a little bit naive back then. And it took me a while to figure it out. And now I get it. And like any other business, I've grown and had some successes, had some failures, and still have some hurdles ahead of me. And looking forward to talking to some of the best minds in the business here, especially to hear what Bret has to say as he grills me on the hot seat.
All right. You want to give us kind of an overview of like what kind of staff do you have? What are your kind of like the number of products you have, and kind of your general like maybe price points, and where like just generally where you're acquiring right now?
Yeah, so we currently have a list of about 22,000 that are marketable. About 4,000 of them are what we call unengaged marketable, where they are getting very minimal emails, our weekly newsletter. So about 18,000 of them are marketable, although some of them are less engaged, so we send them a fewer emails. As far as broadcasts in any given month, I mean, we were sending out about 850, 900,000 emails a month total. We've pulled that back a little bit as Keep encouraged us to not send so many emails out by charging us more for them. So we made a little bit of a change to how we do business. I used to send out a daily video that was just nurture content every day. Now we do that all on social media, which we weren't really doing before. And then we just send out 2 emails a week to remind people to go to social media. What other data points would you like me to go over?
No, that's good. John, do you mind if I use this little whiteboard here? Is this okay for you?
Yeah, no, that's great. Perfect.
Okay. I just want to keep track of some stuff.
Okay.
So you got 22,000 engaged. How many paid people do you have, Dan?
Paid people, I would I would guess a couple hundred. I don't have an exact figure on that.
We'll just call it 300. How many products do you have?
So we have three, what I would call high ticket products, which is 2 degrees of one-on-one coaching and a mastermind. And then we have 5 scanners. And then we have 3 recurring classes, 2 are daily, 1's weekly. And then we have about 3 other classes.
What kind of trading do you do?
It's all option trading, and we intentionally try and keep a breadth of products, from investors to traders, from fairly new traders to pretty experienced traders.
Okay. What are some price points here, buddy?
Sure. So as far as the high ticket stuff, the masterminds, 15 grand, and we only sell a few of those a year.
Mm-hmm.
The one-on-one coaching is 5 or 10 grand, depending on the package. And it's split about 50-50, and that makes up about maybe 30% of our revenue. It used to make up more, but the last couple of years, candidly, we've just had a harder time selling them. It used to be about 50% of our business.
What about the scanners?
So the scanners are about $250 a month. Yeah.
And are they hosted on your website, or you put them on TradingView, or you put them like, what are we talking about here?
Yeah, so these scanners, it's data provided from the CBOE. It's basically real-time alerts. When a specific trade occurs, they get a notice that trade happened.
It's not, what was that called? I use the same thing at another company.
Trade alert.
Oh, they use Tradier. They use Tradier for some of their CBOE stuff.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So you got 5 scanners, and then you teach classes during the week?
Yep. Some daily, some weekly. Yep.
Okay. And you teach these on just how to trade, basic introduction stuff, flies, spreads, all that stuff, or what are we talking about?
Yeah, I mean, the daily group coaching is, it's kind of like what a lot of people call a trade room.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other daily class is sort of more on technical fundamental analysis. And then the weekly class, which I teach, is more pure education, which, as you can probably imagine, has a little less demand, I think, than the other ones, because it's less active.
What do you charge for the trade room?
The trade room is $227 a month. It's about the average.
I'm gonna poke fun at you from time to time. Did you pull that number out of a hat, or did you just was it the lottery number that night?
We were yeah, kind of. It was $199 a month,
Mm-hmm.
and then I wanted to go to 250, but decided on 225, but used more of an odd number. Okay, yeah, okay. I deserve.
That's okay. It's the number is inconsequential. I haven't seen 227. It's a unique number, so it's I kind of like it, to be honest with you. It doesn't bother me. All right. So you got 22,000 people on the list. What are you doing for revenue every month?
So I've got a lot of what we would call in the business volatility there. It's recently been anywhere between about 55 grand a month to 80 grand a month.
Mm-hmm. How much of that is renewals versus new sales?
Oh, Bobby, if you've got that handy, I could take a look, but I want to say renewals make up about maybe 15,000 a month.
And then new sales are another, somewhere between 30 to 50K a month.
Yeah.
How are you promoting? You going live in webinars? You making evergreens? You doing straight to order form? How are you promoting?
Mainly live webinars. Maybe once or twice a year, we go straight to order form. We do have some evergreen webinars set up, and we do run them, but they get maybe half the conversion rate.
Mm-hmm.
So I tend to do them live more.
How many people normally show up for the live webinars?
We'll get anywhere between, if it's a real small one, it could be like 20
Mm-hmm.
to maybe 65 actually showing up.
All right. Any idea what kind of revenue how many times you going live a month with the webinars? Once a week, once a month, twice a month?
We basically, what we do is we try and sell 2 things a month.
Mhm.
And with each thing, we do about 3 to 5 webinars. So you just call it 4 webinars. So basically 8 sales webinars a month, and then follow-ups to the replay and then direct to the order form.
Okay. Okay, good. How do you guys start your day to day? Like, so one of the things that, and it seems in this business, my experience is that there are a bunch of different kinds of businesses. There are ones that grew up from small businesses into large businesses that kept their foundational staff, meaning they promoted from within. So, I mean, I've seen people that were customer service reps become CMOs. It's one of the great things about this industry is that there is no sort of pre-qualification for your skill set, aside from the desire to work hard, listen, and learn. If you can write a little bit, that's great. If you can market a little bit, that's great. But for the most part, you have a lot of people that when you grow up inside the business, they know what to look for every day. It's kind of like being a nurse versus being a brain surgeon. Like a nurse can tell you, how our patients are doing just by looking at them. Same thing with a guy that's been there 5 or 6 years. They kind of can feel whether or not a promo is going to work or how well the business is going. And there are other companies that were once small and then got large and they lost the core foundation of the business. I've seen this a lot of times too. And then they end up bringing in people, either, I don't want to say retreads, but people from the industry that might know a little bit enough to be dangerous, or, and this is, some people aren't going to like this, worst case scenario, you bring in an executive from outside the industry. And the executive from outside the industry oftentimes looks at KPIs that I don't know why they look at them. And motivation there is different. Some companies want to be acquired. Some companies bring in a CEO or a COO that is in an acquisition mode. Some people work for private equity. Some people, they have to keep the cash up. Some people focus on renewals and et cetera. In my experience, the day-to-day run of the business is almost like it's like playing a game every day. And how many people are on your staff?
There's 1, 2, 3, 4. I mean, there's 4 full-time, 2 part-time, and then some other 1099s who help.
Okay, and what do they do?
So I mean, one of the full-time is me, and that's running the business and sweeping the floors, everything in between.
But you write and trade, right? You are the product.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. I'm kind of the face product, but John, who's our head coach, delivers a lot of the classes.
Okay.
He delivers a lot of the one-on-one coaching, and he delivers a lot of the he delivers the group coaching as well.
Okay. What else you got?
We've got a full-time marketing person, Bobby, who's our VP of marketing. That's totally full-time. And then we've got Kathleen, my wife, who she does a little bit of everything too. She kind of keeps everything in order and sometimes does really granular stuff like going through and making sure all the first names in our database are capitalized, deduping email lists, but also handling some real nuanced customer service and, the occasional chargeback and stuff. And then we have another person who is like a part-time marketer who has a lot of tactical skills, who was able to execute on a lot of stuff.
So an Infusionsoft expert.
Yeah, Infusion
does a little design, does a little webinar setup, that kind of thing.
Yep, exactly.
All right.
And then I do have another part-time coach, which is nice. It leads to one of the questions that you sent me that I guess I can wait on, or I can throw it in here now. But having a part-time coach helps because one of the hurdles is that at this size of a business, you know, when the business is really growing and doing well, it's like, oh crap, how are we going to even take on any more one-on-one coaching students? Because I can't really hire a full-time person for that. But nobody who actually has that skill set wants to do it part-time. And then when business is slower, which it's been a little bit lately for me, then it's like, geez, you know, maybe we should cut back on the part-time market or something.
Okay.
It's hard to scale.
Gotcha. All right. So day to day, do you guys meet every morning?
Bobby and I, who's in charge of our marketing, meet once a week formally, and then pretty much almost every day for
You guys
some.
use Slack or Skype or Teams or something weird?
Yeah, we use Slack, but you know, we'll just meet and go to meeting.
Okay. All right. So back to the day to day, right? So the most successful companies that I've been around are the ones that do grind the day to day. There are obviously people in your business that are big idea people that go and work on something totally outside. There are marketers that have longer term goals. And my old boss, Mike Ward, used to always say that we're in the bestseller business. And while I believe that, and I definitely think he's right, I also know that a lot was gained from working with a COO or a CMO on a daily basis to establish what our baselines are. Basically taking our health check every day. First off, it does two things. One, it gets everybody talking about what we did yesterday. And two, it allows you to set expectations so that so you understand what the growth looks like and also what your inventory looks like. And by inventory, I mean, like it or not, the amount of email that you send is your methodology for making money. Aside from that, with the webinars, et cetera, but those are all wrapped into one thing. You had mentioned a social media presence being the sort of the center of some of your e-letter pushes. What's the following there?
Our main focus is YouTube, and we get maybe 80 views per video on YouTube.
How many followers do you have on YouTube?
Well, we have 2,200.
Hmm.
So I don't think that that's very indicative though, because I had YouTube and I put some videos up there like 15 years ago, and you know, some people followed and probably forgot that they're following. So
Sure,
I
sure.
don't know how many are active.
Yeah. How about Twitter, which is usually the other big one in our space?
And similar thing there. I've got about 14,000 followers, but I'm so inactive that you know, it's going to take a lot to re-nurture that.
Sure. All right. So the bad thing about social media as being sort of the growth core of the business is a couple things. One, you're at the mercy of an algo that you can't manipulate or understand.
Yeah.
Two, you're engaged, and that algorithm determines your dispersion of messaging. And that can be really frustrating for people, especially when there's not a lot of rhyme or reason to something getting shown 2,000 times and something getting shown 20 times. You're also depending on a third party to increase your response. Now, I will say that the next generation of marketers do, and I don't disagree with them, that TikTok, Twitter, and YouTube are your big three there. The successful businesses I see in that space are usually one-man shops or two-man shops that are giving away a product for free, which is totally fine. They give away picks for free. They have a free live video, free live trading every day. And then they sell a class, right? And they do $50,000 to $100,000 a month if they can build an audience of half a mil to 1 million people and get 1,000 to 2,000 concurrents a day. I see them all the time. And no offense to my marketers who are just starting out or haven't been doing this for a long time, but it's something that you can invest in, but it's not something that you can count on as a business plan when you're trying to have a company. If it was just you in your basement, it's a great hobby to have. And when you find success, it's awesome. So, all right. So you're going twice a week with an e-letter. Why aren't you going every day? You're a trader, right? You're an options trader?
Yeah.
Okay. What kind of options do you trade? You trade the SPY, VIX, NQ. What do you do? What's your
Yes, I mean, as far as what names, stocks, ETFs, indexes,
okay.
everything.
Do you trade your own money?
Yeah,
Okay. And you look at the market every day?
I do. But you mentioned kind of being a grinder, and that's a lot of what I do. It's, I put in a lot of time, and I would like to be able to be more efficient and be able to focus on trading even more, because I think I could, well, first of all, because I like it, and second of all, because I think I could create even better products.
Okay. Why would you only go twice a week if you're trading every day?
Why would I eat? Oh, well, because we used to send out, I still make a daily video every day. I do. We used to put it, just load it up to Spotlighter, host it there, and put it on our blog as a page, and then send out an email that sends people to the blog. But I imagine it's the same letter that everybody got from Keep Infusionsoft that says, well, we're going to start charging you a bunch more money if you keep sending out all these emails. So,
all right. So we have to, as a business, we have to realize that A, email is very cheap, and B, if we can't overcome the cost of sending email, then we're probably not in a very good spot. So Infusionsoft is fine. I've had ups and downs with Keep or Infusionsoft for years. I would recommend switching ESPs. Beehive is extremely advantageous right now, extremely cost effective. As you get larger, there are people like Optipub, which I don't think you're, given a list of 22,000, even if you went out every day, that's only about 500,000 to maybe 1 million mails a month. But you have to find a way to get that messaging out. What is the USP for the e-letter? What is the unique selling proposition? Why should I read it every day?
well, the video, it's free nurture content, and it's an insight into various aspects of trading.
You got to tighten that up, right?
Yeah.
So that's like me saying, I got a clothes store. We sell clothes.
Yes.
They go on your body,
Yes.
right? So the first thing that we do usually is we try to define a USP, a unique selling proposition for the e-letter. We make a promise. We deliver the promise. We tell them value. We tell them this is the only way you're going to get this, and you're not going to hear it anywhere else. We leverage our expertise. We leverage our point of view. You even leverage your personality and what it is that you do as a trader. The fact that you're trading real money and the fact that you trade every day, there is no reason not to come up. And I understand the cost and inefficiencies with Keep, but it should not be a decision maker. You're not going to make more money by sending less mail. It's not going to happen. That is never going to happen. And you're not going to make more money by sending them to social media instead of sending them to your website where you control the environment, etc. So, again, Beehive is an option here. You can easily pick up the list in Infusionsoft, move it over to Beehive, and start sending immediately. Even if you just took the openers over the last 30 days and moved them over there, I would still try to establish a point of view, and you can do that really quickly. You can easily send them an email saying, "Hey, we have revamped what our commitment is to our audience. We are going to start bringing you content every day with." It could be any kind of deliverable, whether it's a watch list, whether it's our biggest trade of the day from yesterday, whether it's what we're watching, what sort of strategy that we have right now that is most advantageous, what our key levels are, what our key numbers are, whatever it is, right? And you want to set the table for the people that like you, and you want them to read you every day. The way to do that for free, without giving away the milk and the cow, is to give them things to look for, things to watch, things that you see that they won't see anywhere else, especially on CNBC and FBN or the Wall Street Journal or Forbes or Bloomberg. So in our industry, we are not journalists. We are publishers and authors, and we are also contrarian, and we're also independent. And we have to have a point of view on the market, and we have to have a stance on it. What that means is that you have to be able to come out and say, listen, I really don't like interest rates right now. I think the FOMC is going to keep rates exactly where they are. I think we're in for nasty inflation, which means you're going to see the tech sector getting beat up here over the next 6 months. These are the levels that I'm looking at. These are the ETFs that I have circled as ones to dump. And you can come at it from two different angles, both trading and long-term investing. A lot of traders don't feel very comfortable talking about macroeconomics. That's not a good idea. You don't have to be a macroeconomist to have a view on the U.S. economy, the market, Fed policy, et cetera. You don't have to be that. And you also have to look at yourself like, you were at the SIBO, right? That automatically puts you at the tip of the sword of people that understand options trading. The people that read you and watch you every single day could only dream of even being on the floor of the SIBO, even though you can just walk right in. So you have to leverage that with the fact that you have insights and understanding of the market that they will never have. And you are a celebrity at the end of the day. You're a trading celebrity, you're a financial celebrity, but your opinion counts, and your opinion is what they look for. Your insights and where do you think you don't have to be right and you don't have to be wrong. That doesn't matter nearly as much as being present, as being there, right? If I have a nasty cough and I'm coughing up blood and I call my doctor, like, he wouldn't say like, oh, I don't know what that could be. Sorry. No, like he knows more than me. He knows more than I do. He's in a better position to help me than I am to help myself. Similar to these people that are looking to make money from the market, become better traders, become better investors, retire, et cetera, take care of their money. You know more than they do. So you have to have a point of view and you have to be confident in it. And even if you're wrong, it doesn't matter. Our audiences are very forgiving. They're not stupid. Like, they're not dumb people. Same way that I wouldn't think that because a doctor said you might have tuberculosis, when in actuality, all I had was a scratch larynx, like a scratch larynx or something. Yeah. But I'm not going to scold him for it. Be like, you told me I had my, like, only the worst customers do that. And the problem is that in our business, we tend to listen to the loudest, worst customers the most. The people that are like, you send me too much mail. Can you stop selling me things? You were wrong on something. Let that person go. You're never going to make them happy. I'm sure you know those people in your life anyway. They're never going to be happy.
Hey, Brett, if I can jump in real quick just to touch on, this is not a copy call. This is not but I definitely recommend, Dan, that you guys look at that in the Discord community. We posted a link to a video systems video that did really well, crushed it this year. In the opening hits, because the guy worked at the CBO or the SIBO, right? And he hits that credibility really well. You actually taught options there. That's another layer on that. Not only were you trading there, but you literally actually were basically blessed by the SIBO to teach this professionally. Yes. Right. That's a huge thing. And then the other thing I'd throw in there on that idea of like talking about the markets is, as traders, a lot of times what I hear from folks is like, well, I don't care what the economy's going to do. I'm going to trade it when it comes. That's literally the point of like the content. Well, hey, if this happens, we do this, we'll probably do this. If this happens, kind of projecting like the fact that like maybe you're not predicting the interest rates are going to go one way or another, but you know how you're going to trade it if it goes up or if it goes down or if it stays the same. And kind of forecasting that in the content, that is something that like gives people confidence. It's interesting and keeps them reading. So there's a lot of really interesting things you can do this way. And you also, my last point is, I always loved the name of your business, right? Market taker, you know, because you have the market maker background, but also that idea that like you're going out into the market and going to take the profits. Traders are fundamentally, if you're an active trader, you're fundamentally somebody who thinks that you can get good enough to kind of go out there and make things happen versus passive investing. And so leaning in on that idea in your editorial is, I think, a really good choice for you. But I'll pass it back to Brett now.
No, that's all viable. Even if you're market agnostic or macro agnostic, it doesn't mean you don't have an opinion on it. You just don't care. You have to be able to talk about it. Your readers are not going to get financial information from 15 different guys. They might get it from 3. Be one of the 3, which means when NVIDIA has earnings and you don't talk about it, you look dotty. Like when there's a Fed meeting and you don't talk about the fact that they cut, raised, or kept rates the same, you look dotty. If there's a major market thing, and it doesn't happen every day, it happens once or twice a month. If you're not talking about the Bitcoin ETF, even though you may not trade it, at least say, I'm not trading it. Here's why. Here's why we don't trade. Like, first off, there's no option chains on the Bitcoin ETF yet. But, you know, if you look at it and say, you have to be able to comment on what's happening and then just apply it to trading. If you're not going to trade it or it doesn't factor into your trading, that's fine. But say that. Have a point of view, right? It's really important. Your customers, have you ever had a live conference or interacted with your guys, your subscriber base?
Oh yeah, often.
How many of them take pictures with you? How many of them do you feel like you're a little bit of a celebrity around them?
Yeah, all of them.
Right. Well, that's who you are, and you have to embrace that. And by embracing that, I mean they're going to want to know things from you that you may think to yourself, well, that's kind of boring or stupid or doesn't have anything to do with it. Not to them. Not to them, it's not. It's like, imagine if you could mic up a head coach for a baseball game, right?
Mm.
The whole game. The baseball coach is sitting there going, why the hell does anybody want to sit and listen to me talk? Everybody wants to listen to you talk. Everybody watching that game wants to hear what you're saying during the game. But to him, it's benign and monotonous and boring. But to you, it is manna from heaven if you are a baseball fan, similar to your take on the Fed, the markets, etc. So that helps you create more content. It also helps you become pertinent and relevant when things happen in the market. Don't take days off when shit happens. Market drops 3%, you're talking about it. Nvidia splits, you're talking about it. Even if you're like, listen, Nvidia's splitting tomorrow. It's not a tradable asset for me right now. I don't see any patterns here that make any of these premiums look good post-split. I can tell you that post-split stocks usually go down in price for 2 or 3 days before they come back up. Because the short interest by the major banks and the major hedge funds, they're taking into account the fact that people are going to want to buy this and get into it, and they're going to suppress the price. Whatever you're you know that, right? You have an opinion on that. Don't be afraid to share that. And to the person on the other end of the line, they're going, that's my guy. Because like it or not, a lot of what we go through is golf stories. You are, oddly enough, Porter Stansberry, I was at a school function one time and I overheard people talking about Porter's picks on, Obama's third term or whatever it was, whatever his weird thing was. And I overheard them and I couldn't believe that these guys, I mean, we're so close to it that it's a hard time for us to sort of understand, but they were really proud of themselves for learning this and sharing it. And they were very, very confident in the outcome of what Porter was saying, but they liked it. Similar to what it is that you can imagine if you could hear that coach in the dugout say, man, Rodriguez is just terrible. I can't play this guy anymore. You just learned that. And now you know that and nobody else does except for the other people that were watching. But point is that that's solidified not only his opinion, but now you gave your opinion to someone else and it likely became their point of view. That is the religion that you're after. That is the ethos that you're after, is that your point of view, your USP becomes somebody else's point of view and USP. Look what's happening right now in politics, the dogma associated there. The same thing in the financial markets, same thing with religion. It doesn't matter. The point is that if they're your people, you have to imbibe them with your stance on the market so that they don't have to go somewhere else to form their own opinion because they're going to form it. Do you watch sports?
Occasionally.
Okay. What do you have a strong opinion on?
Well,
like movies, books, art?
Oh yeah. Movies, music.
Right. Now you may go watch a movie and maybe you watch Dune, right? And you're like, this is great. But I guarantee you, as a matter of fact, I'll bet you that at some point you read an analysis or an article about 2 or 3 other people and you found something more insightful that they would say because, by the way, they're probably a little more insightful than you. And you took that home into your own ethos. And you said, oh man, they are going to be in trouble when Dune 3 has to drop because that book was never finished. So I don't know where they're going to end this freaking trilogy, that kind of thing. Because you learned that somewhere else. You do the same thing for finance. So first step, get back out there more. Figure out the Keep situation. I don't know the economics of what you're facing with Keep, but I can tell you that Beehive is extremely economical. You can move the names over there. I would set up an account. I would put 5 or 10,000 people in there, and I would start mailing them on a daily basis with your thoughts. If they're videos, that's fine. But before you do that, before you make the video, write down why you're unique on just as a welcome letter. Think about, listen, I'm Dan Passarelli. Here's what I do every day. Here's what you're going to get every day. And here is why this is the only place you're going to get it. If you can answer those 3 questions, you're off and running from a value standpoint. right? Don't be passive. Don't be a journalist. Don't, nobody pays for the afternoon news guy to give me the scores on Major League Baseball. I can get those anywhere. What people pay for is, well, sadly at this point, gambling picks, but what gets him an audience is his insight into the local sports team, if it's a local guy, or for a national guy, like they go to a national guy and be like, I'm in the locker room right now for the Mets, and I can tell you that they're going to make 3 trades over the next 24 hours. That's value, right? You can do that with the market, right? That's why I watch that show. That's why I go there for my information, similar to the markets. So take that down, stop going out once a week or twice a week, stop pushing the social, post the blog on your website. You can still push them to social if you really want. All I want is a click. All I want is messaging. And please don't go out, like, do you only go out like Tuesdays and Thursdays too, or like Tuesdays and Fridays?
Mondays and Fridays is when we send the email, but we do frame the YouTube video onto our website, and that is where we send them to.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
All I want right now is the click. The modality of the click, the monetization of the click, that comes after. The first step in anything is establishing the operations. Can I do this? Do I have a USP? That's step one. Can somebody send it for me? Good. That's still in step one in operations. Number two, do people like it? Do I get better open rates, better clicks, no spam complaints? Am I fine here? Once you pass level 2, then you get into the monetization of it. How do I leverage this for money, right? And do steps 1 and 2 first. And you only have 1 letter, right?
Yeah, one free. It's a free weekly newsletter. Yeah.
Okay. So you
Hey,
can
one thing real quick while you're talking about sending an email to the blog, just
Yep.
real quick. You also don't have any you embed the video on the blog, but there's, other than a sidebar ad, there isn't anything in there that they could link to buy underneath. Like you're sending people to a page. There's nothing wrong with throwing an ad underneath content or a text, writing something in there that links to something that they could buy, because they're actively engaging with you right at that moment.
Is the only
Yeah.
way that they can buy digitally as well? Do you have a telesales guy or a customer service guy that they can call?
Yes. I mean, the number is really only available during live webinars. It's not like on our website or anything.
Companies your size usually do 50% of their revenue over the phone.
Wow.
That's the easiest money you're ever going to make, especially for selling $10,000 to $15,000 products. You cannot sell those. I wouldn't say cannot. It is much more difficult to sell a $10,000 to $15,000 product via an order form and keep. That is a tough sell.
Yeah.
First off, you're not able to work with the customer on payment plans. You're not able to cut them a deal that you don't know their first name. Sometimes, especially in a company your size, I mean, Jeff Bishop used to get on the phone for Raging Bull. If you want to buy a $10,000, $15,000 package, he's like, give me the phone. I'll close that. Give me the phone. Sometimes that's needed when you're in a 4 or 5 person company, is that you need to get on the phone with somebody. But the phone needs to be avid in what it is that you do, because I'm going to take a stab here, and I haven't seen the marketing materials, but I would imagine they're not as polished as some of the other ones you've seen in the industry, with 10-page order forms, 60-minute VSLs with high-end graphics, the ability to convey a message extremely clearly, repetitively, over and over again, with some sort of celebrity voice, track record, etc. All those things that when you see those promos, you say, man, that's a really good promo. For smaller businesses, they don't have the ability to make those when they're only doing 50 to 100,000 a month. First off, the guy that wrote it ain't cheap. Second off, the production time to go into it takes months. So the way to get around that is live webinars, which is what most people are doing. But also the interaction of a telesales portion of your business is imperative. It's important. You have to have people accessible on the phone. That's how you're going to close about half your sales. That number is not like anecdotal. That is, even in a $100 million business, you will still do $30 million a year in telesales. You'll still do 30%. Huh?
How do you normally tell somebody who's kind of at the stage that Dan is at to start that process? Like, what are you going to do? You're going to get part-time person to start? Are you going to work with an external group that does telesales? Like, what's the
There are options, right? So there are external groups which will take a 20 to 30% commission, which becomes a little tough at scale, but it's really nice when you get started. You can hire somebody internally, but given that you have 300 buyers and a 22,000 person list, it would be a part-time person. They might get 20 calls a week. They might get 15 calls a week. They should be closing 50% of those calls, right? So, and it should be worth about $100 to $200 per call. As a matter of fact, the less calls is probably worth closer to $300 to $400 a call. So, or you can do it yourself, to be honest with you. And sometimes doing it yourself, and you may have a VP of marketing, and you may have your wife, and you may have another coach and John, and they may say that, well, I'm not a sales guy. Dude, it's a 5-person company. We're all sales guys.
Yeah.
Right. If you're running a small store where you sell, designer jeans that you made, the guy who designed the jeans is probably working the counter. And the guy that's working the counter is probably making the sale. And that's the way you go when you're a small business. There aren't a lot of shortcuts. First off, you should do it anyway. Like any new person that I hire at a company, they spend their first week in customer service. I don't give a shit what they do. There's nobody in this business that comes with that kind of pedigree that they don't have the right to work customer service for a week. And if you do, you shouldn't hire that person anyway, because that person needs to know the products. They need to understand the sentiment of the customer. And they also need to start asking some questions like, holy shit, like, what is this product? Like, what is this? Where do I find this? What is that? What's our product fulfillment look like? That's important. So when you're still a small business, everybody works customer service, and everybody should be clamoring for customers to write in on a regular basis. They should be writing in with questions. They should be writing in with suggestions. You should open those lines up. When you're 4 or 5 people, you can't have a delineation of responsibility. It has to be a group. When you get larger, the great news is when you get larger, the first person you hire is a telesales guy. And guess what? Everybody there can train them. Right? Everybody there. I
was going to say, if you guys should also check out in the resource library in the FMS Pro video page, we have a video with John Cardis about starting to build a phone team, internally, that has a lot of the stuff that we talk about here and how you kind of start to where you can get to more help.
All right, so let's do some quick math here real quick. 22,000 emails should get, and we're going to get to the tough part next, but should get about a 4% response rate. If you're sending out 2 times a week, let's just call it a nice 1,000 clicks per email. Let's just be nice about it. If I can just move this freaking thingamajigger here. Move. Ah, well, I'll just pop this down so I can do some basic math. Sorry if this is screwing up the presentation, John. I just wanted to catch some notes. All right, 22 at 4% equals 1,000 clicks, which, if you're looking at this every day, should be worth between $2 to $5 a click. So let's just call it, and that's times 7. So you're looking at, let's just call it 14,000 a week from email. Doesn't count renewals. So that would be my target goal, and that's pretty conservative. So that's what, 60, what, man, bad math, 56,000 a month, 56,000 a month on email volume alone. Then you have, sounds like 8 webinars, 50 in attendance. Let's be conservative and call it $50 per attendee. That's 400, that's another 20K, right? That's where you should live. That's given your inventory right now, 22,000. I'm not even counting the 300 buyers or whatever it is you have, because they need a list too. If they buy a product, if you're still thinking that you fulfill them from the free email, or that you fulfill them from a class, or you fulfill them from some sort of like very benign transactional kind of email, you're thinking about it wrong. They've just moved into a different planet, but they haven't lost the desire to continue to communicate in that way. So one of the biggest mistakes people make in this industry is once they move somebody from a free person to a paid person, or once they acquire a paid person, they start talking to them differently. Like they start talking to them in a different way. Now, but not in a good way. There's a good way to do it, and then there's a bad way to do it. The bad way is transactional. Thanks for buying my product. It's Tuesdays and Thursdays at 1 o'clock. Here's your calendar. Have a nice fucking life. That's not good. They just moved into another world. So, and those people are worth 100 times more than the 22,000 people are worth. So the fact that we don't talk to them more, overfulfill them, give them different insights, especially into the product. I know it's a pain in the ass. I get it. But we are in the relationship business at the end of the day. And if you just made a buyer and you think putting them on an email that sends them out a trade alert twice a week with 2 lines of copy that says, trade NFX at 220 option spread. Like, that's not good. That's what people do. That's Looney Tunes. Because in their mind, some marketer says, well, I mean, they're already getting the free e-letter. They stopped caring about the free e-letter for the most part. They have moved on to another planet. They are breathing different air. They are now in a paid product. And if you under-deliver, under-fulfill, or stop that relationship through the paid product, you are not maximizing the value of that customer. Also, that customer is not as happy anymore. I hear it all the time at conferences. And by the way, conferences are really good for getting actual feedback from people. That's why customer service and telesales is also very good, because they'll tell you what a phone conversation looks like. You can listen to people. I'm not saying you have to do what they say, because they don't, most people, get that aside. But if you have paid people with 300, look at your paid mail. How much paid mail do you send to them every day? Because it's going to be worth 100 times more than the free mail that you send to the 22,000 people. It is. So, and by the way, if you think because those 300 people, whatever, are on the 22,000 list, and they're already getting that information anyway, stop thinking like that. They likely interact with the product in silos. So if they bought your class, or they bought the scanner, and you're not sending them fulfillment, and all you did was send them a receipt and access, that customer now is probably checked out to a degree. They have moved on. You have to communicate to them the same way that you did with the free letter. What I would recommend there is within Keep or on Beehive, wherever you want to go. You can go to Aweber, you can go to Constant Contact. I mean, I use Beehive, so that's what I would recommend, but I'm not saying there's not other options. You take those 300 buyers, however many there are, and you start what we call like a FOMO list or buyers list. But even before you do that, you look at, like, if 75 people have bought the classes, how much email do you send them? Once a month? Once a week? Does it just say join the class today? Is that all it says? Then they go to the class? How many people are on there and how many people attend? These things are imperative. And it's one of the most overlooked process of what we do. We spend 90% of our time talking about sales and only 10% of our time talking about the product. And yet we all know that the value of the future sales come from the quality of the fucking product. Yet we stop talking to people about it because we think that they bought something, so now they're happy. They're likely happier, but they're probably not still fulfilled, or else they wouldn't have bought. Okay, does that make sense?
Yeah.
So we've got the USP. You got to understand your buyers, see how much mail you're sending them. Your baseline revenue right now should be about 70. This is conservative too. I mean, this is taking into account $1 to $2 a click and $50 per attendee. In a good marketing cycle for a list your size, this is usually $5 a click and about $100 to $150 an attendee in a good marketing cycle. Any idea what your response rates are on the 22,000 on the email list?
Yeah, I mean, my open rates are like around 29%.
Okay, so you're being throttled by Infusionsoft then.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Which
I mean, anything below 40%, anything. Okay, we'll get to the next. So what are the click-through rates on it?
The click to open rate is about on average 11.5%.
Is that okay? Click to open. So
yeah.
If I send out 20,000 mails at 11%, I'm getting 2,000 clicks, 2,500 clicks, or am I getting 250 clicks?
If you
answer that, how many clicks are you getting off the 22,000?
Yeah. Okay. So if you send out, well, let's say send out 1,000 emails, you're going to get, say 11% of that, which is what, 110. So
okay.
You're looking at 250 clicks or something.
No, 11% of 22 grand is going to be 2,500.
Oh, right. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Yes.
So even my number here is extremely conservative at 4%, which is where most people live. So if you literally are doing 2,500 clicks for 22,000, that's really good. That's good. If I saw that, I'd be like, why aren't we sending more fucking mail? And don't just send crappy mail. Again, establish the USP, give them value, give them your insights. Don't be afraid to boast about some of the picks that you've made or some of the things that you've taught in a class, or do customer profiles. Talk to yourself, talk about them, talk about your own private life if you feel comfortable about it. Your family, your friends, what you do on the weekend, how you got interested, your time at the SIBO, all those things play, right?
Yeah.
I say it all the time. People probably Bill Bonner has sold $1 billion worth of stuff, and the guy hasn't recommended a stock in 20 years. But people like Bill because they know he's got a church in Ireland and he's got a winery in Argentina and he hates the government. Great. But every time he recommends somebody else's something, they already know that it comes from a guy that they like. So don't be afraid to emphasize yourself.
Yeah. Now, mind if I jump in with a question or two?
Sure. Yeah.
You know, this year is a little bit lighter than last year. I was a little bit more up in that area last year.
Sure.
But like a difference is we almost make nothing from emails. We make money from emails promoting a webinar
Sure.
and then from webinar. So just looking at your figures here, you know, that first 56K on email volume, does that include, you know, emails sending people to webinars? Because that one's a missing link right there.
It shouldn't be, right? That's why you need telesales. That's why you need an amortization of product. And you also need multiple lists. So when you have one list going out twice a week, you can promote one thing, which means you're pretty much dark until the webinar launches. You're making $0 unless they come from renewals. That's not good. There are other products you have that still fit into the lifeline of what it is that we're doing in the market. Also, having multiple lists like you can easily take those 22,000 people and start another list with another specificity. It doesn't have to be complicated. It could be, let me tell you about the best options trade of the day or the best options setup of the week. It doesn't have to be complicated. But if you want to know the secret to Agora, aside from having really great marketing and a laissez-faire attitude to like how they run their businesses, meaning they let the marketers kind of do their thing without a lot of oversight, they also shared their files with each other. Like I started at Money Map Press. We didn't have any money. We had $0. Zero. You know where our first 100,000 people came from? The Oxford Club. You know what we became in like 6 months? We went from $0 to $100,000 a month because they gave us 100,000 names. Now, I'm not saying you have to do that. What I'm saying is you got 22,000 people here in one USP. Push yourself by the end of the summer to make a second USP, right? It doesn't have to be complicated. It can be a watch list. It could be 5 things to know before the market opens. It could be 5 things to know at the market close. It could be whatever. But the problem that you're facing right now is, yes, we don't make any money unless we do the webinar. My contention there is then you don't have enough email bandwidth to be able to support a company that's going to make revenue every day. That's why meeting every day and saying how much money we make yesterday. And if the conversation continues to be, well, we made $0 because we're promoting a webinar, fix that problem.
To be clear right now, within like the next few months, he should have minimum 3 separate kind of e-letters, right? He should have the one he has now, some new one that people can be opted into or moved into that they can with a different USP, and then a customer one for all the buyers.
Correct. That's a minimum, right? As soon as you figure out that formula, you're going to find yourself having, instead of 2,000 clicks a day, 3,000 clicks a day. And you're going to have the bandwidth to promote the scanners, promote the class, promote the one-on-one, throw in a telesales number, and stop depending on a webinar every 14 days to make all of your income. That is stressful. And I know a lot of people do that. They put all their eggs in one basket. They don't dynamicize their volume. And it would be like me having a ramen store and all I sell is ramen. That you never see that. Yeah. You wouldn't see that. I got soda, I got soft drinks, I got spices, I got whatever else, chopsticks, whatever else is you want, but I wouldn't just sell ramen, right? No matter how fucking good it is. Even the greatest stores in the world, like I'm looking at a Shake Shack across the street, and I'm sorry to keep dropping the F-bomb for my bad. John can beat him out. Actually, beat him out, John, it's kind of.
Yeah, nobody drops them on this show.
Right. So like I'm looking at a Shake Shack across the street. Shake Shack is known for having great smash burgers. That's what they're known for. But that's not how they make their money. They make their money because it's 17 cents to fill up a Coca-Cola and they charge you $3.95. The smash burger at $7.95 probably costs them about $5.25 to make. Point is that you have to create more inventory here to give customers more options. Now, the down part of that is your time. How much time do I have to pump these things out? It does not have to be Shakespeare. It just has to be on point.
And this is where, like, this is actually where a lot of the AI tools really help you, because you can get there on, you can do a video where you're going to tell, but like, think about this, like how many stories do you have of people and traders who blew up or did whatever when you worked, right? Like you could just get on a video, have one of your staff interview you, and you just go through those things. They can take that, transcribe it. You have the videos that can get turned into shorts that you can post, and all of a sudden you have a lot more content. You can do a lot of stuff these days with production to speed up how much content you create. It's not like you have to like, you know, stop everything else you're doing to do it. But you should be commenting on the market. I mean,
Yeah.
a lot, and given just like, even if it's short, but like personal and short.
If you
Yeah.
did that by the end of August, right now, you would probably double your business.
All right, so you have a different USP, but that's to the same leads. I mean, basically, what you would have people have the ability to. Well, I'm trying to think about how to actually execute this.
Well, it would be difficult in Infusionsoft. It would be a lot easier in Beehive. You can send them opt-outs. I don't think and you can check with the legal team here at the FMS Pro, but improving their subscription to the free e-letter by offering them more value and providing them an opt-out 2 or 3 times is always going to be advantageous to doing an opt-in. An opt-in is going to get you about 5% of your file, and opt-out is going to get you about 95% of your file moved over. So you take the 22,000 people, you send out a few emails and say, listen, your subscription's been upgraded. We are launching a new letter here. If you don't want it, feel free to click here. I won't send it to you, but let me tell you what it does. Every day, I'm going to give you the 5 levels that I think are most important across all the ETFs, whatever it is. It's just a different USP, and it can be simple. It doesn't have to be Shakespeare. You don't have to write 2,000 words. You just need to provide a very pointed level of value that somebody would want to see.
All right. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense.
Okay. If you did those things, you would double your business by the end of August, just because you've increased your volume. And it's going to allow your marketer, Bobby, to be able to say, oh, shit, I have all this new inventory. I don't have to promote the webinar twice. I can talk about the scanners. I can talk about the class. I can push to telesales if somebody wants to do one-on-one like training, if somebody wants one of these things. It gives you bandwidth. You basically just took a store, and instead of having one product, you just put a second product on the shelf. It might not sell as much, but you're gonna sell more. You're not gonna sell less. That's not gonna happen. So that's a good start. So let's have the hard conversation, because what that'll do is that'll get you burning the furniture, which is fine. But here is the part where the rubber meets the road, which is, how are you spending money to bring in new acquisitions, or do you have an acquisition plan?
Yes. And I mean, this may be part of the reason why things slow down a little bit this year, but you know, ends up being a chicken and the egg. Last year I spent about $5,000 a month, almost every month. Maybe probably 10 months a year on, just paid traffic. I'd use Darwin or whoever else. And I did slow down a little bit on that this year, because the end of last year ended up being, I don't know, things sort of slowed down a little bit at the end of last year and the beginning of this year.
All right. Well, if you don't feed it, it's going to die.
Yeah.
It's not going to get better. So, and that's what small businesses do a lot of times. Like, well, our spend's not working. Figure it out. Because nothing is more important than that spend. If you aren't spending 10% of your gross revenue a month in ad spend as a minimum, then you're not taking any shots. And if you don't take shots, you're going to get smaller. Our friends at MarketWise, who I love, who I respect dearly, when they cut out their advertising in August last year, you can read, they're a public company, you can read their quarterly reports. Look what it does to them. They shrink. Now the bottom line looks better for a very short matter of time, but they're going to feel that pain really quick. It's one of the reasons that I love working for Mike, and I love working for Jeff Bishop and Morgan, and I like working with these guys, and even Zach down at Stocks to Trade, is that they will never cut the spend unless we're in, because they know as soon as they cut the spend, the company is going to shrink and things are going to get much harder. Instead of cutting the spend, focus on the spend, find new people. I hate to say this to my friends out there selling leads right now, or selling traffic, but it's not 2020. People aren't lined up chomping at the bit to buy their shit. Like, they will work with you. They know that their inventory isn't worth anything unless there's somebody there to buy it. So while you may not be a big fish at only $5,000 or $10,000 a month, that doesn't mean they don't want your business. That doesn't mean they don't have room to feed your business. But if you think that that is a passive part of what it is that you do and something that you can shut down, it's not. It's the first thing you meet about on Monday morning. How much money we spent last week? How many leads we bring in? What do they look like? They look bad. Okay, stop. What are we sending them? What do we have for them? Let's make this better. Let's focus on this. You've got to make that work. And it has to be a part of the business that cannot be secondary or worse, third. If you aren't spending money and you're in an established business, meaning you're not just getting your feet set up under you, you're not getting all the operation stuff set up. As soon as you stop spending money, you can count the days on your hand until you start shrinking.
Yep.
Now, what I've given you here is if you do start spending money, you will make that money back quicker.
Mm-hmm.
So, all these things that I've made, they're not for, or some of these ideas that I give you, these aren't just for, cheap thrills. What these are bones that when you do start buying money and you pour those names over everything that you have, you will see value and they will mature faster and earn faster. Okay. What's your webinar process? You say, it sounds like we've got about 5 or 6 products, 7 products, and you do 2 different ones a month. When you and who do you put the webinar together with? Is it you and Bobby?
Yeah.
Okay. And how does that conversation start?
Well, if it's a new product, it's one thing. If it's a product that we've had already, first of all, I'll look back at the slides and I'll see if I need to freshen up any examples, because I find it tends to convert better if the examples are not a year old.
Yes.
Yeah. So, if it's an existing product, it's pretty easy.
It's easy for you, but I'm gonna be a turd here. It's lazy. Do not run the same webinar. You have got to position it like it's brand new every week or every time you run it. That means that not only do the examples have to be brightened up, obviously, but you have to have a forward-looking perspective on why the service is freaking important right now. It's one of the things that people that are smaller get extremely wrong. And this might be you, it might not be you, but traders think just because they're good traders that's enough. It's not. It's not enough. You have got to make somebody take action to buy that product right now, or else they're either going to lose money or they're going to lose the opportunity to make money. If that is not the cornerstone of every promo that you put out, that promo process needs to be changed. So instead of starting with, all right, what are we going to run? Some people do it on track record. Some people, at least the mildly smart ones, go, what's our best track record right now? Let's run that one, because that gives us the ability to stand on past results or most recent results. That is some JV level marketing. It's great, but it ain't good. It ain't great. I'll tell you that much. Varsity level marketing is, what do I think is going to happen in the market? And what about this product is going to make them solve that by making them more money that's going to bleed into that? What can I look forward to over the next week, month, year, no matter what, that if I don't sell this thing to them now, they're going to miss out? I'm sure you see other people's promos out there, like the Al Tucher promo or Porter's promo. Like, none of them talk about their past results. None, ever. And if they do, it's like 5th or 6th thing they talk about. What they talk about is, if you don't start doing this right now, you are going to miss the next big thing. And that's where your promo has to start. I'm not saying that's what every promo has to be, but that's where it's got to start. And that means, if you think 0 DTE is important, if you think that the option chain on the crypto ETF is important, if you think that volatility right now is at an all-time high, or the VIX, whatever it is, the point is you have to tap into a market condition where you're going to be able to project, especially when you do live webinars. That's one of the advantages that we have over some of the other guys, is that with a live webinar, I can literally, on the day the FOMC announces, be like, yep, they kept rates the same. Here's what that means for the market over the next week. And here is the strategy or service or the scanner or the class that we think is most pertinent to this, that you're going to have to take now in order to take advantage of this short-term, long-term, whatever it is. You have to be a problem solution in the real time. don't think that anybody wants your product because you're a good trader. They want your product because they're going to make money. If you think about how like gambling services work, and I hate to do this because I don't like comparing our industry to gambling, but it is not that far off. As a matter of fact, a lot of the artificial inflation that we saw during 2020, during COVID, or was that 20? Yeah, it was 20. I mean, you can guess why that was, because dudes didn't have anything to gamble on. And Davey Day Trader went to the market and started trading option chains because he needed this fix. I hate to say that, but people like action, right? And as soon as sports came back, our sales, everybody's sales in September went way down. But that summer, everybody was like, I don't know what's happening, but this is great. And for the first time ever, what also happened? Option chains were being traded more than stocks for the first time ever. 19-year-old kids were getting on there doing straight naked puts, trying to make $100 on a $10,000 YOLO margin account. That's nuts. God bless them, but still nuts. Anyway, the point is, like, if I told you that, hey, by the way, football season's coming up, I'm a really great football bettor. As a matter of fact, there's over 200 games coming up, and last year I was 171 and 96. Now that will definitely beat your man. If you're really interested, give me a call right now. We can get started. That's one way to pitch it. The other way is Monday night, the Bears take on the Saints. I have inside information that the fact that their left guard, their left tackle cannot pull. One of them's got a weak hamstring, and they love running the ball to the left. They're not going to be able to do that. The Bears know that. They're going to stack an outside linebacker over there. They're going to shut it down. I love one play on this game specifically, and you need to call me right now to get that information. Which one of those sells better?
Yeah. Number 2.
Right. You got to be number 2. You got to be specific, and you got to be forward thinking in the real time.
Yep.
You have enough products to be able to do that. Some of the other things you can do to up sales, obviously bundle the classes, launch new classes. Classes are great because they can expire or they can go into a vault. So if you're doing them live, good for you, but don't be afraid to put them on wax and make 10 or 20 of them that you can sell at any time. So you can get out of your webinar cycle and actually go to the Bahamas with your wife. So you don't have to do a webinar every 2 weeks. Figure out something that can sell out of the gate. So you got, I mean, I like the fact that you're making 50,000 a month on a 22,000 person list. 300 buyers is light. You got to get back to buying some leads, right? Again, not to disparage our guys. They are good media buyers. They are great media buyers. And a lot of them, I posted on LinkedIn, the ones that I think are probably the most honest or the easiest to work with. And a lot of them are in John's FMS Pro. Like, they will work with you. They want your business. I don't like to say like they're struggling, but in the financial publishing space, it's not exactly high tide like it was 4 years ago. So while they may have as a company pivoted to health or pivoted to IR or some other things, that's fine. But I also know that their leads can be bought probably a little cheaper. They're probably listening to smaller guys right now with smaller spends. And they're probably willing to work with you if you don't have success on trying to give you some leads so that you do have success. So don't be afraid to reach out to them. There's a lot of them out there.
Well, that's where I'd like, again, like your willingness to come share is a big deal in this space in particular. A lot of small guys, everyone small compared to Agora in size, are scared to be vulnerable about their business. And the irony is that the media groups, like everybody actually wants you to succeed and grow. Yes. And they're willing to share because everybody makes more money if all of us are a little bit bigger. And so like, there's so many people like Bret who are willing to share information and really help your business. And so,
yeah, they're actually stingier when everything's going well. Now they're like, now they show up with like, hey man, you need like 1,000 leads. I'll give you 1,000 leads. Just tell me if they work. Right. There are people out there that will work with you. It actually sucks when everything's going well, or there's one promo that's dominating and you got to beg somebody to run your stuff. Now is not that time. Everybody's skinny or getting skinny. A lot of people are getting healthier again. And a lot of people are also seeing new highs into the market share because they're starting to spend money more now than they were 3 years ago when everything was much more expensive. I'm not saying things aren't expensive. I'm saying there aren't as many buyers there. So the people that are buying media are finding better deals, quicker turnarounds, more volume. I'm not saying that's you, but as a business, like if you said, Bret, I want you to come on and be the CMO, I'd be like, you have to commit to 10 to 20% of your revenue every month being spent externally. If you're not willing to do that because you want to be on a boat with your wife, or you want to like that, I'm not working for a company that won't spend money. It's not going to happen. It's a waste of my time. It's a waste of yours. So, and I know it's hard, but it's supposed to be hard. You're not going to win every month. But if you don't get up to the bat, you're also not going to play for very long.
Yeah, the one of the biggest issues, which was one of the questions that you asked, and I don't know, maybe you answered a lot of this already, is that if I spend $1 on a lead that first week, if I get back 50 cents, I mean, that's about what I do, maybe. If
50% ROI in 1 week on a lead is well above industry's average.
Yeah, I was probably being generous to myself.
30% is usually pretty good. 100% after 45 days, it should be your target range. Some of the guys that are larger, they can go out 90 days to 120 days, and that's fine. That's what they can do. That's not the world that you're in. But if you're doing 8 webinars a month and you're bringing in leads, 45 days, you should be able to break even. I can tell you that there are businesses out there right now with the exact same model. They don't have a very good external evergreen product. It converts at 20 to 30% ROI up front. They make up the difference in doing live webinars and live events that are pertinent to the market. So you should be there. You should be able to catch that money up in 30 to 45 days. And if you lose $1,000, so what? You will make it up at some point, but do not let the list dry up.
Not to make sure we're making an assumption about when you do buy media, what do you send it to?
Yep.
Well, I mean, if I use I typically send it to an ebook or strategy guide, I'll call it, that puts them into a funnel, that puts them into a webinar, sometimes evergreen, and sometimes we'll time it just right so that it goes into a live webinar.
Sure. Make sure they go into the e-letter file. Make sure that you're communicating with them the live stuff that you're doing. I really don't like 30-day funnels, 14-day funnels. I think they should have a 3-day funnel. And then after that, they should be in your world where you're talking to them every day about shit that's actually happening.
Yeah.
Unless you had one of the top 3 copywriters in the world write you a 30-day funnel, it's probably doing more harm than good.
Yeah, I've never really seen anybody who actually tried shortening the sales cycle regret it in the industry. So
there are some people out there that I know, like especially in the real estate spaces and the B2B, people with less content than us. But why deprive somebody who came in with an active interest with the probably the attention span of a gnat to assume that over 30 days you sending them 15 emails to buy a product they've already said no to 14 times without starting to send them real content about the market is advantageous. That doesn't make any sense to me. Now, there are marketers out there to be like, well, our funnel works and I don't want anybody talking to our guy while they're in our funnel. Fine. I contest that you can do the same thing in a 5-day funnel with 12 emails that you can do in a 30-day funnel with 12 emails. I guarantee. As a matter of fact, I don't know if you saw Rob Braddock's post about the promo that he put together, which by the way, I don't know if it works. I don't know if it doesn't work, but I know that his promotion of it and the quality of it was freaking awesome. Because here's the thing. What did he do every day? He put up and it wasn't much, but he put up 2 LinkedIn posts that were extremely pointed, that had everybody talking about it. He had enough sizzle there that you saw what he did that was different. Chris was great. The promo was great. The shot was great. And everybody is just waiting around saying, I don't know how many, I hit him up and I fell for my own shit. So I was like, I got to see this thing. I got to see this thing. But he did that in 3 to 5 days. He didn't need 14. He didn't need 20. You can do the same thing with opportunity. Get people into an e-letter that fulfills them on a daily basis with value. Establish that USP. I know nothing in this business that is worth more than that is so overlooked by everybody. People think free e-letters are something that you can create in AI, or you send them out at 8 o'clock and they say some bullshit and they don't ever read them. They don't care about their open rates. All they care about is their marketing cycle. Where do you think those marketing cycles, do you think they're being fulfilled by getting new sales pitches? Some maybe, but the majority of them don't want to leave that e-letter because there's value there. The biggest businesses in this industry have value in that e-letter. Daily Wealth, freaking, I don't even know what Agora Financials is anymore. Daily Reckoning, Investment U, the one they have, like the one at Motley Fool. I mean, look at Motley Fool's e-letter. Like literally, you're talking 8 million people on a file, and the fact that they weren't a part of the Agora universe and they figured it out even before Agora, because I was working with Motley Fool in 1998 when they were the motleyfool.com with the jester hats and shit. They knew the value of that letter, and they don't mess around with it. That's their baby. Yeah. People in this industry overlook it so hard. They fire their editors. They don't care about it. All they care about is their marketing cycle. You're going to find yourself, you're going to be neutered pretty quick if that's all you care about, unless you're buying money and turning it around in 30 days. And even then, so I'll give you another example. There's companies out there spending a shitload of money. The guys at NUPR, right? Or some of the other guys that have been at FMS. I don't want to call them out by name, but they're spending $500,000 to $1 million a month. And and you talk to them a year later or 2 years later, and John could probably attest this, in a private conversation, but they're like, well, now I've run out of good places for my leads and I can't scale this budget anymore. I'm like, well, so what's your annuity? What's that? What is the value that you reap from these people aside from the 30-day funnel, the telesales funnel, and the live webinar that you did for the acquisition? What do you do with them after that? Well, we sell them and then we sell them more stuff, but it's not going well. No shit, because you didn't build an annuity. You didn't build anything there that's going to last, right? And that is literally what I know that, and people can smirk all they want about a free e-letter. It's got to be good, and it's got to go out, and it's got to be unique. And the people that have that, they find themselves when times are tough, they have something to depend on. The guys that are just buying traffic to build a funnel to do sales, I've been around this business long enough to know that I've seen 30 of those guys pop up and they're like, I'm like the greatest media buyer in the world. I'm like, no, you have a new product, good marketing in a niche, but I can tell you that in 2 years, I won't see you again. And that has happened so many times because they don't care about the business in and of itself, and they don't have a purpose. They just wanted to build a funnel that made money, and God bless them, but they'll be on to selling, penis pills or heart medication or whatever's hot next. They won't be in this business.
This is exactly the difference between offer owner and publisher right here, right? Is there's a lot of really amazing marketers who can build an offer in a funnel and go out in a lot of niches and just burn through and put big numbers up. And then, like Bret says, in a couple of years, they're gone. We see it a lot. The difference is if you acquiring those customers in a way that you can build an ongoing relationship and keep a huge chunk of them paying attention, then you have a publishing business that can be much bigger than just the offer. And so there's a lot of sex on the offer side up front, and that's why everyone's all like, I got this funnel. And there's always every few years there's a new internet marketing cycle where you'll see someone will take all the traditional pieces, rename them in a new way, and here's the funnel. This is the funnel, and everyone does the funnel. And they're like, all the successes are people who did nothing before, and then they put something in place and it worked for them to some degree, and it's like, oh, this is amazing, it's perfect, it works. And then there's no publishing business behind it, there's no communication, there's no e-letters, there's no nothing. They just have a sales process, looks great, does great, makes money, disappears over and over again.
Yep.
What else do you want, Bret, on this?
No, I mean, that's I'll send you my bill. That's a lot. What I'd like to do, John, which I think would be of value to people, is check back in August and see where we are. And
I'd also, if you're up for it, Dan, I'd also like to kind of maybe do you record some of your webinars?
Yeah, I record all.
I'd love to take maybe we could do a version of this and grab a couple of copywriters, maybe do it live, like Bret suggested earlier. And maybe we can kind of run through some of your copy, give suggestions, things like that, on the promos, the products, and see if we can kind of like give you guys some ideas on that side. And then then we can check back in a month or a couple months here and see what we're able to kind of deal with from all this.
Yeah, and Dan, if you want to send me, if this is a lot, and I used a lot of nomenclature here, which may be foreign to you, and I tried to sound really smart. I try to take some notes here, which will at least be able to you can harken back to. But if you need me to read something or rehash an individual idea, just try to do one thing at a time. Right now, get that e-letter out every day. Make sure it's healthy. Get it out of Keep if you can. Put it in Beehive if you can. But get your messaging right. Be be a statue in the middle of this field of other financial experts. Be in there. Don't be afraid to send content because it costs too much. I swear to God, if you said that to me and I work for you, I'd be like, I quit. I can't do that. Like if somebody walked to my house and be like, Brett, we got to send less mail because the mail costs too much. I'd be like, I don't know what business we're in, but this ain't mine, because it costs about 0.001 cents to send a mail, and you're telling me it's too expensive to send a mail. That ain't good. Yeah. And I'm not saying that to be a douche. I'm saying that because that math can't be in your decision making. Your messaging and what you send out has to be of the utmost importance. And if you want to send it out 15 times a day, as long as that mail is healthy, delivered, opened, and clicked, that's what you should do.
I also need to make sure that they're not throttling me for sending out too many emails too.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, don't take this the wrong way, but that's the pussy ass answer.
Okay.
Right.
All right.
Like, don't get out of Keep. Like, go to Beehive. You could stay in Keep for those 2 mails a week, but take that list and move it over to Beehive and start sending from there and see what it looks like. I understand the throttling. I don't mean to go 15 times a day, but you can go every day, right? That's not going to hurt you.
Yeah.
Going twice a day, in probably 3 or 4 weeks is probably where you want to be. One marketing, one editorial. I assume you send marketing every day.
Well, not necessarily.
Yeah.
Okay. On
Yeah.
average, I'd say in the industry, everybody sends 2 emails a day to every list, just about, unless the list is a very niche list, but your core file gets 2 emails a day, no matter what. I don't know anybody who doesn't send 2 emails a day. And when then things are doing well, sometimes they get 3, sometimes they get 4. But 2 is pretty much bare minimum. And I'll tell you, the dogma to avoid is, well, our people don't like getting that much mail. Incorrect. The people that complain don't like getting that much mail. You can't, I hate to say it, because if our customers saw us doing this, it'd be like, well, screw this guy. Like, do you turn off Seinfeld because there were commercials? Right. But if I asked you, like, what do you hate most about TV? Oh, I hate damn commercials. But do you like Seinfeld? Because there wouldn't be a Seinfeld without the commercials, buddy. I hate to break it to you. Like, they don't do it for free. So
Yeah.
people understand it, but they love to complain about it. And if you listen to people's like incoherent complaining about things that people love to complain about everything, you can't listen to them. If you listen to your wife or your mom or your brother about everything they complained about, you would think that they had the worst life ever. Nope, they just like to complain. And to a company like ours, especially over the internet, the complaints get pointier and they come more and more. You have to have a thick skin about it.
I just a great story. I always love the story because Adam Richardson always tell me about when he worked at Altucher. Altucher loved his blog posts, and it was like his favorite thing that he would send out. And he was, that was his thing, and that was what he was known for. And they sent out some marketing emails, and he got pissed off because the unsubscribes from the marketing email was hurting the list. And then they just showed him, hey, the unsubscribes from the marketing email are lower than the unsubscribes from the content blog post that you send out. And then it's like, okay, whatever. So
yeah, it's a lot of the list, and it's ego. I don't work on that. I work on the numbers. If the numbers show me a doubling in clicks, I'm happy, because clicks mean that my people are happy. If I piss off 1% of people, here's the other number that I can tell you, Dan, because I had to pull this from Mike Ward back in the day. He made me do it because he had the same problem. He's like, Brett, I'm tired of, because Bill Bonner and Mark Ford were like, you guys send too much damn email, because other people in Agora were jealous of how much email we send. And that happens. Like, I was even at John's conference at the Pendry, and I watched, I forget his name, Catamara, what's his name? Camarera. Like, he stood up. Yeah, it was Camarera. He used to work at Agora Financial.
Camerer.
Yeah, Camarera.
Yeah,
like
Tom.
Tom was like, stop sending so much damn mail. I'm like, that's okay, I guess. Whatever. It's like telling somebody, stop going to the gym so much. It's ridiculous. You don't need to go that much. Yeah, okay. Anytime you want to arm wrestle, I'm willing to take you on. Like, people don't like sending mail because they don't have anything to say. I get that. And they don't look at the numbers. The numbers that Mike wanted me to pull was, Brett, because he was getting complaints. He was like, everybody in Agora is complaining we're sending like 3 times as much mail as everybody. This is bullshit. I'm like, okay. Let me pull all the people that unsubscribed. And we pulled everybody. It took about 2 months. And Grace Epperson helped with this. And I was like, pull all the unsubscribes and tell me what their LTV was. there was one buyer out of 15,000 people. And I was like, who'd you lose?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
and after that, Mike was just like, you do what you want with the email. I was like, thank you. Just down away. Yeah. All right.
All
All
right.
right,
Well,
awesome.
this was great. Great stuff. I really appreciate it.
I hope you got some value out of it, Dan. Again, spend the money, make the volume. Um, the tough part of this business is the art, right? So the messaging, the quality of the editorial, the quality of the webinars, these are things that need, you know, the day-to-day interaction of your business. I can tell you how to build the roads, but how you drive on them, that's going to be up to you a little bit.
Yep. All right.
At least in these sessions.
Yep.
John, you cool?
Oh, cool. This is great, guys. I appreciate it.
If you stuck around this whole time, I will send you if somebody sees this, I will send you $20 because I want to see how many people actually stuck around. You just hit me up on LinkedIn or my email address or whatever.
If you made it all the way through, you got $20 from Bret.
Yeah, man. Actually, I'm kind of looking for a response right there. That's a free $20.
Wait, does that count for me too?
No. Thanks, guys.
Awesome. Thanks. Take care. Bye.